Then I just had what I called my stud and my dud. I think I did a couple feeds where I'm like, okay, this is my last one. No, this is my last one. No, this is my last one. I'll already like cry thinking about it. As of literally like 2 days ago, I stopped breastfeeding again. I don't want you to think that the amount of time that you breastfeed has a direct correlation to who you are as mom. You're not alone. I see you, but more importantly, God sees you. Well, hello you guys, and welcome back to our channel. Today, it is just me and my coffee, which is very needed because I'm gonna be honest, we are like almost 6 months in and we are still not even close to sleeping through the night. And so cheers to all my mamas out there whose babies aren't sleeping. I just wanna encourage you. I posted this on Instagram today because I was preaching it to myself that these days are not in vain. We are promised trials, right? And so I feel like sometimes in the middle of the night, I'm like, okay, Lord, you're creating in me perseverance. You're producing some kind of fruit in me. And also, please change my perspective and make this really sweet instead of me focusing on the sleep deprivation side of it. And so we're there, and I just want to be real about it. I would love to sit here and just say like, it's so sweet having to wake up so many times during the night, and I love it because I know that some other women, some other friends of mine, they're like, I love waking up during the night. It's been tough for me. Like, it's been a little bit brutal for me to like wake up so often in the night and then feel like I need to continue like caring for a toddler and working during the day, but I'm doing everything I can to take my thoughts captive and flip them around and remember what a blessing this season is, that I'll never get these days back with my little one this little, that he'll only fit on my chest the way he fits on my chest right now. And I already see it with Micah, like when I'm rocking him to sleep, like he's half the length of my body already, and it's getting harder and harder to just like rock him to sleep. And so I am trying to just be so grateful, even in the midst of the trying times that kind of come in the very, early stages for some mamas and some babies. Every baby is different. I have friends whose babies are like sleeping all the way through the night, right from the get-go, it sounds like. And so anyways, I just want you to know, if you are kind of going through something similar to me, that you're not alone. I see you, but more importantly, God sees you. And I do think that even though these times are trying, we're gonna look back and they're gonna be some of our most treasured memories. I'll already like cry thinking about it. And we're gonna do, this whole video is on my breastfeeding journey, so it's not even, I don't even know where I'm going, oh my goodness. But speaking of emotions, I put a little Q&A box over on my Instagram, and so let's just jump into it. I feel like I'll get into more of the story as I'm answering some of these questions. The first one is, do you feel pressure to continue breastfeeding? Have you had the same ending from God regarding it? If you're confused by this question, I shared this when I shared my experience breastfeeding with Micah. Around the 5-month mark, we started implementing a little bit of formula, and he started preferring it. It seemed like his stomach was doing better on it. He wasn't as fussy after the formula feeds. I was pretty emotional about letting breastfeeding go, but I obviously just like wanted what was best for my baby, what was gonna make him most comfortable. And there was one night in particular where he had started sleeping a lot better, and he woke up and I was like, ugh, like kind of frustrated, like why did he wake up, darn it, like, go into his room, and I'm breastfeeding him. And I had the sweetest moment from the Holy Spirit where the Holy Spirit was like, I want you to embrace this moment. I want you to look at your son and just snuggle him and remember this, because this will be your last like feeding with him. The next morning I woke up and my milk had like totally dried up. And I just remember it just being such a a sweet ending. Obviously it's like bittersweet. It was like a hard thing to reconcile with a little bit, but I was so glad that my last feeding, I wasn't like frustrated that I was up in the middle of the night, but I actually like embraced it and I loved it and I remember it to this day. Like it will forever be like ingrained in my memory, I think. With that, I just want to open up that this round of breastfeeding has unfortunately been like very, very similar, even though I felt way more knowledgeable and I had a lot more support. So like this round has been similar in that I faced almost every single trial or like every single hardship that I faced with my breastfeeding journey with Micah. I just had a lot more support, which was really, really helpful. I worked with a lactation consultant this time. If you're in the area, they're called Blessed Beginnings. They are truly incredible. I know they do telehealth visits too, so I'll make sure to leave their information below if you're looking for a lactation consultant or you just have any questions. But they were at my house helping me through all of the crises that I'll get into. As of literally like 2 days ago, I stopped breastfeeding again. I'm like still semi-weaning off, but like as of feeding Noah, like he's now getting all bottles, and I'm done breastfeeding. And it's been, it's been similar in terms of like bittersweet. I think I did a couple feeds where I'm like, okay, this is my last one. No, this is my last one. No, this is my last one. And I'm sure some of you are thinking like, well, if you're so emotional about it, why are you like letting it go? Well, I think that there might be something about my milk that was upsetting to Noah, because when he was waking up in the night, he's not just waking up and like kind of grunty, a little bit uncomfortable, and then once he like feeds, he's like easily resettled and like goes back to sleep. He was waking up like very, very constantly through the night, like screaming, like very colicky, and I like, as a mom, you hate to see your child like in pain. Like it's just not fun. The last couple of nights have been like a little bit more smooth in terms of like he's a lot easier to like resettle when I'm giving him the formula versus the breast milk. It just seems like it's not hurting his stomach as much. And so that was a little bit of that confirmation that I was looking for. But there was also a lot of prayer in regards to this. And again, I just want to encourage my moms out there, because this is something that like I really felt I just had a hard time with, because I feel like this postpartum experience, I felt a little bit more like quick to anger or quick to get frustrated or quick to be overwhelmed. And it might be because I just couldn't like nap during the day as much because I do have a toddler. The lack of sleep was just really getting to me. But I'm always encouraged by the book of Job, because his suffering was like immense and so intense. And the Lord, after his suffering, was like, Job has not departed from me. And if you read the book of Job, there's some like dark moments that Job hit, but like even the things he was saying in prayer. And I think a lot of times like we're like, oh, well, if I'm angry, like I don't want to pray angry, or I don't want to pray sad, or I don't want to pray frustrated. And it's like, no, like pray. Like that's the first thing you should do when you're sad or you're frustrated or you're overwhelmed or you're angry. Like that should be your first response, is to go to God with those emotions in prayer. I've been encouraged in that, that the Lord meets me in those moments. And it is the most like sanctifying job ever. Like I truly believe that motherhood, that parenthood is like so sanctifying. That's because it comes with a little bit of suffering sometimes. And I'm not saying that as in like parenthood is suffering, because it's not. Like it is also your greatest joy. And so I hope that makes sense. I just want to encourage my moms, because I just know that there's so many emotions, and sometimes it can feel like a roller coaster, and like, why isn't this working the way I wanted it to? And that was my biggest thing. I'm like, God, like you designed my body to like nourish my child and feed my child, and why is this so hard? And I felt like I just kept asking him the question, like, why? Like, why am I going through this? Why isn't this working the way that I want? And he was just so gentle with me and so near in those moments. And I have this new study Bible. I love testing out Bibles for you guys. I work with Tyndale a lot, and they're actually sponsoring this video, and I want to show you guys. This is their new chronological life application study Bible, and I love it because it actually takes you through the Bible chronologically. So it like paints the entire story of the Bible really beautifully. You always know like where in the story you are, or if an entire story is being told, like, you know, in the Gospels when there's the same story told from different perspectives, instead of reading it through like the different Gospels, they actually like put it right beside each other so you can read the different perspectives like all at once, which I found really cool. But I also love having a study Bible even next to the Bible that it's like my go-to, just my normal Bible that I journal through. I like having a study Bible like alongside of it to pull from. And I was reading inside of this Bible, and you can see there's different like life application sections in it. And there's this one, and it's the 4 views of suffering. And I feel like it's really applicable to kind of what I was just sharing. So I just want to read it real quick. It says, Satan's view of suffering is people believe in God only when they are prospering and not suffering, which is obviously wrong. And then there's the view of Job's 3 friends. Suffering is God's judgment for sin, which also not always true. And then there was not sure if I'm saying that right, his view, which is suffering is God's way to teach, discipline, and refine. This is true, but an incomplete explanation. But then there's God's view of suffering, which suffering causes us to trust God for who he is and not what he does, which I just love that explanation. Like, when we're going through trials and suffering of many kind, like, we have the option to be defined by that circumstance and be burned by the fire instead of refined by the fire. And so if we know we're walking through fire, we're like, okay, Lord, I want, instead of being burned, for you to purify and refine me, like bring out all of this stuff and then like wipe it away so that you can better see your reflection in me. And so I love having Bibles like this that just bring different points to life. And so I am truly really loving using this study Bible, and I'm such a visual learner. And so being able to see like different maps and different insights from different passages has been just really fruitful. And they've given me a 35% off discount code that will work for any of the chronological life application study Bibles that they have. It is Masters 35, and it will get you 35% off through the whole month of September. So if you're looking for a really good study Bible and you want to read through the Bible in that one big, beautiful story form, then this is an incredible one. So I do want to thank Tyndale for sponsoring this portion of the video. I love them. I love all their Bibles. They've blessed my life in many ways. And so anyways, just wanted to throw that in there for my mamas who feel like in those moments of suffering, you don't really know how to pray. That's where the Holy Spirit like interprets even the groans of your heart. Because I know in some of those like midnight hour feedings too, I'm like, Lord, I don't even know what to say. I'm so tired, but like, I know you're here, and Holy Spirit, would you just pray on my behalf, please, please? And I just am in his presence, and I think it's a really freeing thing, and it's not a religious thing, and it's not a performance thing. There's no lofty words. It's literally just silent, really, and just, I'm here, Lord. That was a really long-winded explanation for that first question. So I promise I'm going to be quick on these next ones. Did Noah drink directly after birth? He did. So he did latch really quickly, and he did drink. But I had another question that was, did Noah have any like tongue or lip ties? He actually had all 5. So he had a tongue tie, a lip tie, and both cheeks tied. I'm also an oversupplier, and so literally he could not keep up with the flow. Sorry, I doubt any boys are watching this, but I was like spraying him in the face. Like I was so engorged, and when he would go to feed, my letdown was really intense. And so then I would have to like express a little bit before he fed so I could like get a little bit of that letdown out so that he would have an easier time. But we did end up having to get them revised. And to be honest, I think if we have another baby in the future that has like a tongue or lip tie, I think I want to look into, sorry, our light in our living room is flickering right now. So if the light is being weird, this house is getting renovated. Y'all know this, but all of our lights sometimes just decide to like flicker. There's that. I think that I might try to do like the neurofascial release and try to do it through body work versus the revision. I mean, his was pretty intense, and obviously they said like we really needed to do it with him. But I do feel like a lot of things just like went kind of south after the revision. Like he was sleeping worse. His latch was better though. So I don't know. There's just a part of me that is just curious what it would have been like had we not done the revision. Any other moms out there, would love to see your comments. Like if you've had, a revision and it was super helpful, or if you did like the neurofascial release. I probably am even saying that wrong, but I'm just personally curious. And then someone said, do you pump and breastfeed? So I never really pumped. I used the Haka, which is more of like just a milk collector, and it does have suction. But the reason I never pumped is because I have what's called high lipase milk. And so when I pump and I store my milk and then I try to like, reheat it for my baby to drink, it then tastes like metallic or soapy. It's just like the way the protein breaks down, which is another reason why I even thought about for a while, like, okay, well, if I'm gonna stop breastfeeding, maybe I'll just keep pumping and I'll donate the milk since my baby can't have it. But then there was like all of these other stipulations, which made that hard. And so I decided not to do that. And then I also, so many things, y'all. I had mastitis again, multiple times, and multiple clogged ducts. And so I was always kind of dealing with that. And then I was able, the second round of mastitis, to like not have to get on antibiotics. I was able to like clear it naturally, but the first time it got so bad so quickly that I had to get on antibiotics, and then the antibiotics like hurt Noah's stomach, and so it was just all over the place. Again, so glad I had support in those moments, but also it just felt like one thing after the other. There's some questions on here in terms of like, did you feel pressure to keep breastfeeding? And I don't think that I necessarily felt pressure. It was just a desire. Like I just desired to have an experience where breastfeeding was like easy, and I loved it. And there were moments and there were feeds where I did love it, and I did embrace it, and I was so grateful for it. And every month that passed, I really felt like it was a huge milestone, and I was like so grateful that I was able to do that. It was at that 5-month mark where I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure this is the month that we'll start weaning, which is what happened. But I'm really grateful that I was able to breastfeed exclusively for those 5 months. But I do think that there is a pressure on a lot of women to breastfeed, and I just don't think that pressure is like necessary. I think it makes it really tough. I've had multiple friends go through a lot of like mental health stuff in regards to the pressure they felt to breastfeed, and that's why I wanted to bring up the scripture and prayer earlier, that like God will meet you in those moments. I think that a lot of women feel like shame or guilt if they can't continue breastfeeding their baby, but I just want you to know, like, as mama, you know what's best for your baby and for your family. And so I think leaning into that motherly intuition and trusting your gut and trusting the promptings of the Holy Spirit, there's nothing better for your baby. And what I had to get back to as well is like, also, I did feel like it was kind of taking a toll on me a little bit. And I know that for my baby, a happy, rested mom is better for my baby too. And I just know with Micah, when we ended up switching to the same formula, he started like sleeping better, and he was a happier baby, and then I was a happier mom, and it just felt like our family got into a pretty good rhythm afterwards. And so I'm hopeful that it'll be similar with Noah. I'm not banking on it, but it does seem like just from the last like week of us like kind of starting to wean off and get to the formula that it looks like it's kind of going in the same trajectory. I will keep y'all posted. Okay, next question is, do you feed on demand? I pretty much always fed on demand. I was trying to get to more of a schedule, but actually like in this moment, I feel like Noah is getting a lot of his calories at night, and then he's snacking a lot during the day. And so I think it's called like reverse cycling or something like that. So if y'all have any advice for that, I would prefer for him to get like full feedings every 3 to 4 hours and then like get his calories during the day so that he can sleep well at night, versus wake up every 2 hours, every 2 to 3 hours at night to feed. That would be ideal. So if y'all have any advice, that would be great. Another question was, baby is 2 weeks old, still on about a 2-hour stretch. How long do you go on each side? So for me, I'm probably the worst person to ask because we're almost 6 months in, you're 2 weeks in, and I feel like we're still on a 2-hour stretch. And so we're trying to get better about that. Did your supply ever drop? So like I said, in the beginning, I was an oversupplier, and then a couple weeks in, I got mastitis, and I always get it on my right boob. And when I got mastitis and then I ended up on antibiotics, then my supply like significantly dropped in the one boob and it increased in the other boob. My lactation consultant likes to say they're sisters, not twins. And so like they operate a little bit separately. And my body was like, oh, there's inflammation. Let me decrease what's causing inflammation in your body, etc. And so I feel like after that first bout of mastitis and getting on the antibiotics, I always had a hard time getting my supply back in that one boob. I feel like what I should have probably done is like pump it regularly, like right then. But we just had so much going on in our life. If y'all watched our videos, like we bought this house 8 days postpartum, and then we went through a move a couple weeks later, and we were getting settled and adjusted. And I just felt like the pumping and everything else just felt like a lot of extra work, and I just didn't keep up with it. And so I tried some different like little like tinctures and stuff. I don't really know if it worked because I don't feel like I was like consistent enough. And so then I just had what I called my stud and my dud, or like my slacker boob. And they got very, 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 very lopsided. Very lopsided, like triple the size. I will just say that. And then he started really not liking my right boob. And so then for every feed, I would have to start him on my right boob just to like try to keep the supply in that boob at all. But he would feed on it for like a third of the time, and he would only get like half an ounce to an ounce out of this one, and then he'd get the rest of his feeding from my other one. So that was interesting. Another question was, did I deal with thrush? Currently going through it while breastfeeding and struggling. Yes. So thrush is like this like white film on their tongue. I think it's technically like yeast. What we did was, I'll have to go back to my text with my lactation consultant, but it was like baking soda and water, like a combination of the two with like a little scrubber. Something else that I found worked was literally just like a little paper towel, anything with just a little bit of like grittiness. And I would just like literally kind of scrape it off of his tongue with that. And I would have to do it like multiple times a day. And that really helped with the thrush. There was a question, and I'm just gonna put this out there because I think this kind of goes into that narrative of the pressure. So someone said, how to better prepare for breastfeeding journey number 2 when the first time wasn't successful. And I just want you to know, if you breastfeed your baby for 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years, you as a mother are successful. Like, I don't want you to think that the amount of time that you breastfeed has a direct correlation to who you are as mom, who you are as mother. I think that that's where women get so like hurt mentally or feel this massive pressure, is because if it's not working, then they feel like they're unsuccessful as a mother. And that is just so far from the truth. That is truly like a lie from the pit of hell. Like, I just do not want that attached to you. And so I genuinely, if that's something that you have felt like, if you feel like I wasn't able to do it long enough, it didn't work for me, my supply was low, or just whatever the case it was for you, how long you can breastfeed your baby has nothing to do with how well you are doing as a mom. You were uniquely chosen to be your child's mom. No one else can ever replace you as your child's mom. And so just don't let that attach to you. Like, when I read that question, I was just like, I don't deem my breastfeeding journey with Micah or my breastfeeding journey with Noah unsuccessful. I believe I was able to nourish them through my body for as long as the Lord was like, graced it. And then I felt like the grace was lifted and we pivoted, and it is what it is, right? And there's a piece there. And so I feel for all my mamas, because I definitely got some messages where there were moms who felt a lot of like mom guilt. And I just don't feel like that is from the Lord. Okay, next question was, do you time or track your feeds? Did you feel it was healthy for your mental health? So there was a really helpful app. It was called the Nara Baby app, Nara Baby. And in the beginning, it was super helpful for me to like track. And then I was like, okay, this is too much. And then I would like go back to tracking, and then I would be like, oh, I can't keep up with it. I think that was partially just like a personality thing. But it is a really great app if you feel like you can keep up with it. I have friends who love it and literally like did this for the first year of their baby's life, where they would track like every feed and every nap and all the things. And I just feel like we have a little bit too much going on for it. But I will say, because we have so much going on, sometimes it was really helpful to put it in the app, because 2 hours would fly by and I'd be like, I literally just fed you. And I would be like, oh my goodness, no, it's been 2 hours. And so I think it's a personal preference thing. But if you do want to track, I think that that's a great app to do that. Oh, and then I got this question a lot from my mamas with multiples. How have you managed feeding Noah when Micah like wants something, or when Micah needs attention, etc.? So I do feel very blessed that Chad and I both work from home. And so I do feel like for the majority of the time, there's like someone else here, whether I'm like at a play date with a girlfriend, or I'm here with Chad, or we have our assistant Carly over, or I just feel like we have an open door policy. So I do feel like there's literally just people at our house constantly. So I do feel like that's been really helpful. But if it is just me and I'm breastfeeding and Micah's playing or doing something, I'm just like, hey buddy, you're gonna have to wait. And it's just a lesson in patience for him. And I would be lying if I said he didn't get frustrated sometimes, but I will try to like set something up for him to do while I'm, because it still even happens when I'm just like needing to make Noah a bottle and feed him a bottle. If you do have a toddler, something that has been entertaining Micah from morning to night is just playing in the sink. He loves to play in the sink. And does our floor end up really, really wet? Yes, but it's good old easy sensory play, and he has a blast. And so I feel like if I can like get him set up and then do it, then it's a little bit easier. And then I'm gonna end on this one, which I feel like I've kind of touched on, but I just wanna circle back. A lot of people just said, what do you feel like was different this time around? And I really feel like the biggest difference this time around was, even though I had a lot of hard moments, I really embraced it too. I knew, because of how it went with Micah, that the time was fleeting and it wasn't gonna last forever. And so there were so many moments with Noah when it wasn't painful and it was just bliss, honestly. Like, there was moments where I would look at him and I'd study his sweet little face and hold his hand and kiss his hand, and he would look up at me, and I feel like I just really embraced those moments. Like they're gonna live up here. Like there's definitely more moments this time around, because I feel like I had the wherewithal to just know, and I needed to fully embrace it for what it was. The hardships were the same. I literally got mastitis twice, both times. I got clogged ducts both times. I dealt with lopsided boobs both times. I dealt with oversupply both times. I dealt with my milk supply dropping both times. So I feel like I went through the roller coaster both times. But the second time I felt more supported, and I felt like I embraced it more. And I felt like I cried out to God more. I feel like I didn't scroll as much this time. Like I feel like with Micah, a lot of times during my breastfeeding, I would just like scroll on my phone. This time I felt really led to pray more, to press in more, to just focus on baby more during those moments. Even though some moments breastfeeding, I'm literally like breastfeeding and walking around, getting my toddler to not fall off of something. But yeah, there was similarities, but also differences in terms of just like just sweet moments. And I'm so thankful for my journey. I'm thankful that God's given me peace to move forward. There's still like I'm still like, because it's like literally within the last 2 days, like I still have milk right now. It's still bittersweet, and it's definitely emotional for women. Like I don't think I ever expected it to be as emotional as it is when you are walking through it. I think that just signifies like, wow, like this is a really sweet part of the journey of being a mama, and it's beautifully trying and treasured at the same time. So anyways, that I think is all the questions I'm going to answer. If you have any additional ones, maybe I'll answer them over on Instagram. You can leave them in the comments below. I hope this was encouraging. I do want to remind you, if you are interested in Tyndale's new chronological life application study Bibles, it really is a beautiful Bible. It is filled with so much insight and goodness and context and visuals that really bring the story to life. And so Masters 35 will get you 35% off in the month of September. So grateful to Tyndale, and so grateful for you ladies. I feel like this is truly a community. I've been so encouraged by you guys, and I'm just glad we get to go on this journey together. But love you, and see you in the next video.